The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is having their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com and use promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Sunday, early evening, 5:18 on the East Coast, here to break down the 8-game schedule on the Monday slate for the MLB. And helping me here to break it down for the Monday schedule, you guys know him as the voice of the NFL Gambling Podcast. And of course, here on the MLB Gambling Podcast, it's Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, how you feeling, my man?
Hey, I feel a little better. Nick's tough loss today at home, game one. But other than that, doing well. Good to be with you. Yeah, we only got 8 games tomorrow.
Yeah, 8 games on the schedule tomorrow. Usually it's a little get a little less games on Mondays and Thursdays, with it being, getaway day and teams actually having their scheduled days off. But nonetheless, we still have some MLB on the schedule. I know we were talking about it offline that the Mets and the Braves weren't really able to get any, if at all, any games in this past weekend. I know I mentioned in our little group chat, and you said they only were able to get off about 4 innings there, Dylan. How's the weather over there?
Oh, man.
It's not looking good.
No, it's not looking good. It's pouring right now. I wish you could see outside the window. It's been miserable the past week. It's going to be raining all week this upcoming week. So it's true what they say. April showers brings May flowers, right?
Yeah, there you go. It's the first day of May. So May 1st, hopefully we have a great month of May as far as our betting goes. So let's just dive right into it here, Dylan. Like we mentioned, we'll start with the doubleheader. We'll get that out of the way first. Between the Atlanta Braves, they are in New York to take on the Atlanta Braves, are in New York to take on the Mets. So doubleheader scheduled, again, the weather pending. So the first game is going to go off at around 1:10 Eastern time. I see Spencer Strider is going to get the start for the Atlanta Braves, and I think it's Denji from what I was kind of digging around.
Denji. Yeah,
Denji. Denji Reyes is going to get the start for the New York Mets. The lines currently sitting are minus 195 in favor of the Atlanta Braves and plus 165 for the New York Mets. Total is sitting at 8.5 with a little bit of vig towards the under here at minus 120. Run line for the Braves, minus 1.5, minus 115, and plus 1.5, minus 105 here for the New York Mets. Dylan, lead us off with this one. The Braves taking on your Mets.
Yeah, so the first game, I'm going to go under 8.5. I set my total here at 7.7. So like I said, it's raining. It's been miserable throughout here in the East. So it's going to be raining all morning. And it says, according to the weather app, it should stop around game time. So hopefully we get them in. But wet, cold here on the East Coast. Winds blowing in as well. Mets on the season, generally they're an under team, 3-7 toward the under at home. And in general, they're just having a really tough time scoring runs. Now they got to go up against Spencer Strider. He's been terrific in his last 2 starts, not giving up a run in 14 straight innings. It's very impressive. I think it's a bad spot for the Mets early on. So I think they're going to have a tough time in this series in general. Braves are a much better team. So going to go under 8.5 in the first one. And then for the second one, we got, I think, hopefully, Charlie Morton and Taylor McGee. No lines up, but depending on how big the Mets, I figured they'd open up as a dog, even though I do think Taylor McGee is better. I think they might be some value here on the Mets. If we're able to get a plus 120 or better, I'll take a shot with McGill at home. He's much better at Citi Field than on the road. Batter's only hitting 162 off of him. Walks are a little high, which are concerning, but he's only given up 2 runs at home this season. Braves are only hitting 239 off of righties. They're much better against lefties. And depending on the opening price, it might be a good spot, a bounce back spot here for the Mets to get one. But ultimately, I got to see what the lines open up. But that's kind of how I'm playing the doubleheader tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I do like the Braves in the first game, whether that's more than likely on the run line. Usually don't play a minus 195 favorite. Definitely have the better pitcher on the mound here for the Braves. with Spencer Strider, and usually we typically see these games kind of split, where one team wins and the other team comes back in game two. So Charlie Morton has kind of been a thorn in my side. I think there's been spots where I've been trying to fade him, but he's looked really good, and as those spots have really been on the road. I think this is another spot here for Charlie Morton to fade against the Mets here. So I'm gonna take the Braves first in the first game with Strider -1.5. I do like your underplay as well. And then again, weather dependent, I'll probably come back with the Mets in the second game. So um, yeah, at least some day baseball to kind of get us through the early work day on Monday. So those are going to be the two double headers for or the doubleheader game between the Mets and the Braves on Monday. Um Dylan, before we continue here, let me tell everyone about Shady Rays over for our friends over at Shady Rays. Have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. With Shady Rays, you can look good and feel good. To date, they have donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. And if you don't love them, exchange it for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the new year. Go to shadyrays.com, use promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. All right, D Rock, let's keep it rolling here for the Monday schedule. Let's go over to a 7:05 Eastern start. The Chicago Cubbies, they are in the nation's capital to take on the Washington Nationals. Left-handed pitching matchup here between Drew Smiley for the Cubs and Mackenzie Gore gets a start here for the Nats. I am seeing the Cubbies are a -135 road favorite and +115 on the money line for the Washington Nationals. Total is set at 8.5 with a little bit of juice to reach over at -115. Run line -1.5 +120 for the Cubs. And for the home team, the Nationals +1.5 -140. D Rock, what do you think? A left-handed matchup here between these two pitchers.
Yeah, I'll take a chance here with the Cubs. I got them a little earlier at -120, but I only made them a -125 favorite, so they did get up there in my price. But, they've come down to reality this past week. They lost 4 of their last 5 games. They just got swept by the Marlins. But I think this could be a good spot for them to get back in the win column. Mackenzie Gore has been good and one of those guys that you could actually back with the Nationals. But at home this season, the Nationals are just 2-11 straight up. Most of their wins have been on the road. Cubs, they're a top 5 hitting team. And since Smiley's first start, he's gotten better and better. So I'm going to back the better team. I think Smiley is the better pitcher and pitching in better form right now. I trust the bats a little more. So I'm going to give the Cubs here on the money line.
Yeah, Smiley has like surprising been really good so far for the Cubs. He just had that one rough start in his first start back on April 3rd, which was against the Reds, where he allowed 6 earned runs in just 4 2/3 innings pitched. But since then, in 4 starts, he's gone against some really good offenses, which has been the Mariners, the Dodgers twice, and then also the Padres. He did win 3 of his last 4 starts. He did take an L against the Padres, but he hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs since that first start during the regular season. So he's in good form right now. I like this Cubs team. I know they're traveling from Miami to the nation's capital. It's not that big of a travel spot, but I think you definitely have the pitcher that's in the better form right now. So give me the Cubs as well on the money line, -135 for this game. Next game on the board, 7:05 Eastern start as well. We have the Cleveland Guardians. They are in the Bronx to take on the New York Yankees. Cal Quantrill gets a start here for the Cleveland Guardians, and Domingo Germán gets a start here for the New York Yankees. Yankees a -130 home favorite, and the Guardians are a +110 road underdog. Total set at 8.5. Run line -1.5 +140 for the Yankees. and +1.5, -165 for the Guardians. Cal Quantrill in his career against the Yankees has actually been pretty good. He has a 3.38 ERA against the Yankees in his career. Domingo Germán has had back-to-back atrocious starts for the New York Yankees. Pulling up the game log here for him, but over his last 2 games, he's allowed, I want to say it's been 10 earned runs over the last 2 starts, which was against the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays. Yankees split win and a loss in his last 2 starts. There was the one game where the offense finally broke out for the Yankees, but they got smacked this weekend in Texas, in Arlington against the Rangers. I mean, right now, the last time I saw, they were down like 14-1. I'm not sure if that game has gone final yet or not, but um, I don't. Right now, this offense is not in good form. I think Judge is missing as well for the Yankees, if I'm not mistaken. I know Stan has been missing as well. Um, Cal Quantrill has been a guy that I really haven't been able to trust. I know you've been a fan of him, Dylan, but for me, I'm still going to back the Guardians here, though. I'll take Cal Quantrill in this spot. He's in better form right now. I don't trust Domingo Germán here. I don't trust the offense either for the Yankees. At a plus price, I'll back them here. So give me the plus 110 money line price here for the Cleveland Guardians here, Dylan.
Yeah, 15-2 was the final of the
Yikes.
game. It was bad. The whole weekend they got beat up. Yeah, Judge day to day from the last thing that I saw, and you could hear the thunder that just was outside. Yeah. And Insano, of course, he comes in the chat when we're talking about the Yankees, and slight lean here for the Yankees here. I made him a -140 favorite. I'll take the -130. I do like Cal Quantrill Munaf, but he has been better on the road than at home, but I'd rather back Domingo Germán here. At home, batters are only hitting 190 off of him. He has 25 strikeouts. Walks are down. He just has to limit the home runs, and Sano mentioned it in the chat. I don't think we need to worry about that with the Guardians. They ranked 29th in the league in home runs. And last time they did have a series in Cleveland, they won 2 of the 3. I know it's a different team right now. Yankees dealing with some injuries, but I do think they're the better team. I think they're going to want to get back after getting swept in Texas, coming back home. Hopefully they get the game in, but I'm going to lean here with the Yankees small lean.
All right. Next game on the board is, let's go over to Beantown. We have the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. I think this is the last game of the series. I know they played a weekend series here. So 7:10 Eastern start, Blue Jays in Fenway Park to take on the Red Sox. Jose Berrios gets to start here for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Corey Kluber gets to start here for the Boston Red Sox. Blue Jays are at -130 road favorite here, +110 on the money line for the Boston Red Sox. Total is set at 9.5. A little bit of juice towards the over at -115. Run line -1.5, +120 for the Blue Jays. And the home team, the Red Sox, +1.5, -140. Jose Berrios has actually looked pretty good in 3 straight starts here for the Blue Jays. He's been good against the Red Sox as well since he joined the Jays. Just a 1-1 record, but he does have a 3.07 ERA in 5 starts in that span against the Red Sox. Over his last 4 starts, the Blue Jays are 3-1 against the Red Sox when Berrios has started those games. Kluber, he has been really inconsistent so far this season. He's had a couple of good starts, but it's been more bad starts and good starts for Corey Kluber. We take a look at what he's done so far this season: 1-4 with a 6.75 ERA. He did have a good start against the Orioles, but prior to that, in three out of the first 4 starts of the season, I'm trying to say, is that the Red Sox lost all 4 of those starts. He allowed 4 or more earned runs in 3 out of those 4 starts. And against the Blue Jays in his career here, Dylan, since 2021, he's 0-2 with a 6.27 ERA. I took a page out of Noah's book here, and I went on Baseball Savant and looked at what the current Blue Jays lineup is doing against Corey Kluber. They're batting .364 against Corey Kluber with this current Jays lineup. So I like the form that Berrios is in. I'm going to continue fading Corey Kluber here. Give me the Jays a money line, and I'll look at a team total over as well for the Blue Jays here, Dylan.
Yeah, I can't back either pitcher in this game. I only made the Blue Jays a minus 117 favorite, but I did make my total 10.4. So let's go over 9.5. Jose Barrios, he's been awful on the road this season. 0-3, 7.56 ERA. He's given up 14 runs in 16 innings against teams like the Angels and Royals. So both of those games did go over the number. And it's crazy because Corey Kluber is just as bad at home. 0-3 at
Yeah.
home, 8.78 ERA. 13 runs given up in 15 innings and 5 home runs. I can't back either pitcher here. So first 5 over, I like the full game. Both teams are top 10 offensively, and Red Sox are 10-5 toward the over at Fenway. Over 9.5, I really like.
Yeah, I could get behind the over here as well. I mean, despite Jose Beers has been looking good over his last 3 starts, I mean, they could get into he can kind of go back to his old ways. Like you mentioned, he hasn't been very good on the road either. So I'll back the over here with you as well. I do like the over, but I will play the Jays as far as the side goes in this game. All right, before we continue for the games here on Monday night, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. That's right, $15 million in prizes. So start drafting your teams, plus plenty of ways to win with the NBA, NHL, MLB, and their player prop parlays. So head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, Dylan, let's continue these handicapping these games here. 3 games left here. 8:10 Eastern start for this game between the San Francisco Giants and the Houston Astros. Currently seeing Ross Stripling is going to get the start here for the San Francisco Giants, and for the Astros, it will be Luis Garcia. Minus 180 for the home favorites here, plus 155 on the money line for the traveling San Francisco Giants. Total set at 9 with a little bit of vig towards the under at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 115 for the Astros, and plus 1.5 minus 135 for the San Francisco Giants. I think first thing we probably need to mention here, Dylan, is that this may be a tough spot for the Giants traveling from Mexico to Houston.
How far is the flight, by the way? You're kind of close.
So I'll say this. So Cancun to Houston is a little around 2 hours, maybe a little less, depending on if you have wind tail and all that. But
not terrible.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. You can almost get there in 1.5 hours. So it's a quick flight from at least from Texas and down here in Houston to Mexico. So the flight won't be that long. But again, you also have to think about the altitude, right? Mm-hmm. That these players are coming out from playing in Mexico. And again, I think it might just be a letdown spot here. We'll talk more about the series of this in the that's happening in Mexico between the Padres and the Giants kind of at the end of the episode here. But so Giants on the road, they are 4-8 so far this season. Garcia got off to a rough start to the season, but he's had really good back-to-back starts for the Astros. 13 innings pitched. He's only allowed 5 hits and no earned runs he's given up in those 2 starts. Ross Stripling looks like he's looking like a spot starter for the Giants. He really hasn't gone more than 5 innings. I think he's only gone once, if I'm not mistaken, in the starts. He has allowed at least 3 earned runs in 3 of his 5 starts for the San Francisco Giants. And in his career against the Houston Astros, 1-1 with a 4.97 ERA. He's allowed 3 earned runs in 2 out of the 3 starts against the Houston Astros. So, with the travel situation, or just coming out of altitude, guys may be tired for the Giants, and I think it's just a bad spot for them. So I'm going to go with the Houston Astros on the run line here, minus 1.5. I think Luis Garcia can continue his good form here that he's built off in the last 2 starts for the Astros. So the run line minus 1.5 plus 115 for me here, Dylan.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got. I'll take a shot here with the Astros on the run line. We don't have to worry about a travel situation for The Astros, they're staying home. They're
Yeah.
playing on Sunday Night Baseball as well. We like to fade people or teams who play on Sunday Night Baseball. But the Giants, like you said, they are coming from Mexico City and traveling out of altitude. That's another thing. They're traveling away from it. That's an issue.
Mhm.
I'm going to fade them and Ross Stripling, to be honest. The Giants finally were able to win the last game he started, but they lost the previous 12 runs given up in 15 innings. And I like what I've seen from Garcia his last two starts against Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays, two very good offenses. He didn't give a single run up in either game. So I think they'll get to Stripling. And when the bullpen comes in, I don't want to be on the Giants side. Bottom 5 bullpen in the league. I was very surprised we were able to get plus money here on the run line. So I'll take a shot with you on the Astros -1.5.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up the bullpen numbers exactly here for the again, they're probably going to be inflated even more now with what's happening in the series in Mexico. But as it stands right now, they have a 6.07 ERA, team bullpen ERA for the Giants, which is third worst in the entire MLB. So definitely something to keep in mind. Where the Astros, they've always had one of the better bullpens. They have the 5th best bullpen as of team ERA right now at 3.09. So I think that's a good spot for the Astros, like we mentioned. So run line for both me and Dylan in this game. All right, Dylan, penultimate game here, 9:40 Eastern start. Another team that's going to be coming out of Mexico, traveling back home. That's going to be the Cincinnati Reds. They're traveling to San Diego. Padres, like I mentioned, they are in that series in Mexico. They're going to be traveling back home to take on the Reds. Currently seeing Luke Weaver is going to get the start here for the Cincinnati Rays, and Blake Snell gets the start here for the Padres. Plus 175 on the money line for the Cincinnati Reds, minus 205 for the Blake Snell and the San Diego Padres. Total is set at 8.5 with a little bit of vig towards the over at minus 115. Run line is minus 110 both ways here. D-Rock, we got another team coming out of Mexico here with the Padres. Are we taking the same philosophy in this game, or I'm not sure if I can put money on Luke Weaver here?
I can't put money on either pitcher, to be honest. I'll take a shot here with the under. I got a 9, still like under 8.5. I set my total at 8.1. Padres, like you mentioned, another team traveling out of altitude. I'm going to fade their bats as well. They only put up 2 runs in altitude, in elevation. So don't really know how I could trust them at home going back to San Diego. I'd imagine it'd be a little longer of a flight than 2 hours. They don't even hit righties all that well in general. 211 off of righties the Padres hit. Generally speaking, Padres under team 12-14 toward the under this season, while the Reds last 10 games they're 3-7 toward the under. So I just hope Luke Weaver doesn't get smoked. If he gets smoked, I think we could be in danger. But I think maybe he could take advantages of the travel situation for the Padres. And, Blake Snell and the Padres, they've lost every game Snell has made this season. So you don't want to be laying $2 over, with the Padres in this spot. So it's either you want to take a shot with the Reds, I could see, or you play the under. But those are the only 2 ways I'd play this game.
So they're playing in Mexico City, and we're just going to do some quick geography lessons here since we have time on the pod, since there's only 7 games. So Mexico City to San Diego flight time is 6 hours and 23 minutes. So
Yeah, much.
Yeah, that's a little much. And then let's just do it to Houston. Mexico City to Houston flight time 2 hours and 20 minutes. So there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm not sure if I could trust either one of these pitchers, especially, God, it's like picking your poison here.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, Blake Snell for the Padres, 0-4, 5.48 ERA. You mentioned they've lost all 5 of these starts that he's made so far this season for the Padres. And again, Captain Encino's been pointing out every time that Blake Snell starts that you got to look at his walk prop, because he's allowed 3 or more walks in 3 or more walks in 4 straight starts. He's allowed 4 or more walks in 3 out of the last 4 starts, 5 or more walks in 2 out of the last 3 starts. So if you're the Cincinnati Reds here, and you're the scouting department, you got to tell your batters to stay patient. He's going to walk you. So I know they're in Oakland this weekend, so obviously not a huge travel spot for them. But God, if it was anybody else pitching, if it other than Luke Weaver here, Dylan, I would have definitely
The
backed
Reds.
the Reds here.
Yeah.
But I might put just a little bit, maybe of a quarter of a unit on the Reds here, just to see how the the Padres respond after number one playing this weekend in Mexico City, then traveling back to San Diego, which is about a 6.5 hour flight.
Two things real quick, Munaf,
Yeah,
on this game. If you get above a plus 185 and you're getting over close to plus $2 on the Reds, I think it's worth maybe even a quarter of a unit to just
yeah.
put on the Reds. It's worth it. And you mentioned staying patient. They're a very patient team in general. They're eighth in the league in walks, the
Mhm.
Cincinnati Reds. So I do think they'll be patient. Maybe you could look. That was a good call on the walks. Maybe you look towards a Luke Weaver or no, excuse me, a Blake Snell walk prop. If it's a 1.5, maybe two, he's gonna walk you.
I know they also didn't start three main batters in the lineup for the Reds here today, where when they finished up their series against Oakland. So
Hmm.
again, rest. I don't know if it would call it rest advantage, but I think there's. I guess we can call that because you have a
Yeah.
team coming out of altitude as well in the Padres. So sprinkle a little bit on the Reds. We'll see what happens. All right. Let's see. All right, last game of the Monday schedule. We have a 10:10 Eastern start. The Philadelphia Phillies. They are going to be traveling to LA to take on the Dodgers. Taiwan Walker gets a start for the Philadelphia Phillies, and Tony Gonsolin gets a start here for the Dodgers. Minus 155 road favorites, or sorry, home favorites for the Dodgers, plus 135 on the money line for the Phillies. Total is set at 8.5 with a little bit of vig towards the over at minus 120. Run line minus 1.5 plus 125 for the Dodgers and plus 1.5 minus 145 here for the Phillies. We mentioned it earlier. Phillies are going to be playing on Sunday night. I'm about to say Sunday night football, Sunday night
Yeah.
baseball. They are going to be traveling then from Houston to LA versus LA. They are playing at home this weekend against the Cardinals. So rest advantage in that spot already here, Dylan. So what do you got for this game between the Phillies and the Dodgers?
Hey, we just got out of the draft. You're ready. You got Will Anderson, you got your quarterback.
Yeah,
You're ready.
yeah, I'm
I
ready.
hear
I
you.
am ready.
But another total for me, I'm gonna go over 8.5. It is a little juice to minus 120, like Munaf said. We'll probably see it get around 9. I made my total 8.8, so very small lean here towards the other over. We have 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing out of center field, and in the last 10 games for the Dodgers, 7-3 towards the over. Phillies, they have a top 5 offense. They're hitting 278 off of righties. And in Goslin's second start, I think they'll be able to get a few runs off of him. And when the bullpens come in for the Dodgers, they have a bottom 5 bullpen. I never thought I'd really say that. Usually they have a good bullpen, but bottom 5 bullpen this year so far. I don't want to back either side, especially the way the Phillies having to travel from Texas to California after Sunday Night Baseball, like you mentioned. So I do think we see some runs here. So I like the over better than any side.
Yeah, I'll lean with the Dodgers here. Again, talk about fading teams coming out of Sunday Night Baseball, and it is maybe an emotional series. I don't know if I want to say that, but definitely the Dodgers, or sorry, the Phillies were looking for some type of revenge after the World Series last year. And I think that Tony Gonsolin, I believe this is the second start of the season for the Dodgers. So I'll go with the Dodgers here. I don't hate your overplay in this game either. Um, yeah, that is it, man. That's only 7 games. I know we usually go about double the time
Yeah.
here, but it's only about 7 games on the schedule. Quickly before we get into our lock and dog, man, we didn't really get to talk about the series in Mexico City with the Padres and
Mm-hmm.
the Giants. The funny part is a lot of people didn't know. I don't know if I want to call out any names. um,
Malcolm.
yeah, there you go. That didn't even know that the series was being played in Mexico City, and everybody saw this total, and they're like 15 runs, 16 runs, 17 and a half, 18. What's
It
going
got to
on
20 and a half, Rudolph.
today? Yeah,
I
and
took
then
it. I took the under based on principle. You have to.
oh no, I pounded the over yesterday. Oh, I
Oh, you
absolutely
did.
pounded the over yesterday. Yeah. And again,
Well,
I
I
mean, there was
cashed.
the information, yeah, was out there about the park dimensions, the elevation, how that's
Mm-hmm.
affecting, the the batters and the baseballs and the travel distance and all that good stuff. So I know today looks like it's trending towards the under at least right now, but you never know
Yeah.
what could happen when these bullpens come in. But um, I'm not sure if that's something that they'll continue here. I know there's some people or some players from the traveling party of the Giants that were arguing about not arguing, maybe just complaining about the humidor and stuff like that. But I thought that's something that we needed to discuss. Did you have any
Yeah.
thoughts about it?
I had no idea they were complaining. That's very interesting. But I watched a few innings of the game yesterday. It was pretty cool. It was fun to see it go sky over the total. It looked like a football game.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought like were pop-ups. They were just storming and it looked kind of like a AAA field to me. Didn't
The
it? Only
dimensions
looked
are
like
interesting.
315, right?
Yeah. I think it's like 315 or 320 down, like I think right field.
Yeah, so it skied over the number. I should have pounded the over, but I know a lot of people that pounded the over yesterday. I couldn't even get in on the over today. I set my total around like 19.2, and it was at 20.5. I had to take the under. Hopefully we get there. I don't want to jinx anything. It's 4-3 right now, but
Yeah.
we're getting back to the good old Padres offense like we're accustomed to. I don't know what's wrong with them offensively.
I mean, they have the best lineup. I mean, when healthy, I mean, they got
Yeah.
Tatis back. When you have Tatis, you have Juan Soto, Xander Bogarts. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody in there. But I mean, they have a very competent lineup, so we'll be see if they're able to put it together for the
Even
stretch
Nelson
run.
Cruz,
Yeah,
old
Nelson
Nelson
Cruz.
Cruz, he hits bombs still.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Padres
Is
team.
is this the only one like international series the MLB teams are playing this season? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I can look it up here real quick. Let's see, international
Because I know in
series.
football they have a couple. They have London. They went to Germany. They're doing a bunch of different ones now.
Yeah, so I think I know Malcolm was talking about
Oh, they're going to London.
um
That's right.
to London. So they have the London one, and then they have Mexico City. Let's see if they have any more. I don't think so. Um, yeah, but the London one's I think in July. Yeah, it's in June 24th and 25th with
Okay.
the Cardinals and the Cubs that are going to be out there. So, um, I think Mal said he got tickets to that, didn't he?
Yeah, he got tickets to it. That would be very interesting. But do you think they'll do more next year?
I think so. I think it's kind of taking a page out of like the NFL's book where,
Yeah.
they have the Germany game and the London game and they have the Mexico City game as well. So, um, and I know we know like baseball in, Mexico and then like South America are
It's
it's their
huge.
sport. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could definitely see them expanding even more for baseball.
Yeah, Mexico had a really good competitive team this year in the WBC. Randy Arozarena was raking for them. Julio Urias too for the Dodgers starting pitcher. They have a very competitive team, the Mexicans. And even you even go down to Cuba.
Yeah.
I think would be a cool destination. Especially have like Miami. You have a lot of Cubans down in Miami. Have them play a series. I think it'd be
Yeah.
very interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the Rays and
Yeah, that's a good one.
like the Dodgers like next year in Mexico City. Just because you mentioned Randy Arozarena, he was really good for the Mexico national team there.
Didn't even
Um,
the NFL have a Mexico City one where it was like a shootout? It was Patrick Mahomes
it was like
versus
Raiders and was it Raiders and the Chiefs or something like that? Oh no, it was Rams
Rams.
and Chiefs. It was like
Yeah.
54-51 or
You
something like
just
that.
slammed the over.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh
remember that. So it's getting good. I like all the play in international, because I feel like all the sports, especially baseball, is so it's their pastime. We talk
yeah.
about it's America's pastime. It's literally their pastime. It's their biggest right now. So
And that's like their national sport too, right? Like we salivate over over
yeah.
the NFL here. Like for like, you mentioned Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico, like baseball and I think baseball in those countries, like in South American countries, but like soccer is huge in Mexico as well, obviously. So
Yeah.
um yeah, hopefully they keep playing the games there. I think it's a great way to, expand internationally for the game of baseball. So
especially to see the people that they look up to actually come to their country,
yeah.
and have a chance for them to see their players. Because
Hmm.
what are the really odds of them actually coming to the States? And nowadays it's so expensive you even afford to go to a game.
Yeah, I
But
mean, like, yeah, obviously, all the games are like in the States, right? So,
yeah,
obviously, with immigration and all that stuff, like, you can't,
it's
whichever
hard.
country is outside of the border, like, you can't come in and watch these players. So, I think it's a great thing
Yeah,
that MLB, NFL, NBA has done, some games as well internationally. So, it's
yeah,
good that they're able to get out there for those countries.
100%.
All right, let's get into our lock and dog here, Dylan. You want to lead us off here with your lock and dog?
Yeah, I'll start it. For my lock, I'll go to that Blue Jays Red Sox game and I'll take the over. That was my favorite play. It really stuck out. I'll take the over 9.5. I'm just gonna fade Jose Barrios and Corey Kluber. Both pitchers have an above 7 ERA. They just give up runs galore. We got winds blowing out. Fenway, 10-5 towards the over the Red Sox this season. So it's just been a consistent theme for them. They have a really good lineup, but their pitching is so. So I love the over 9.5 here. And for my dog, there wasn't really too many plus plays, depending on what that second game of the Mets might be. But I'll take the Houston Astros on the run line plus 115. I got plus 120. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm just going to fade the Giants here, coming from Mexico City and Luis Garcia after those two starts against the Blue Jays and Rays. I think he could keep the momentum going. So plus minus 1.5, excuse me, for the Astros as my dog.
All right, for my lock, I'm gonna go with the Cubs minus 135 right now on the money line against the Nationals. Drew Smiley has been really good for this Cubs pitching rotation so far, and frankly, the entire pitching rotation for the Cubs has been really good. Justin Steele had a pretty good outing today. Marcus Stroman has been good as well. Drew Smiley has been good as well. So I'll take the Cubbies here minus 135. I have the same dog as you, Dylan. I
Oh
think
no, we can't do this again.
we're gonna do it. I
Oh
like this. No,
no.
we're gonna have to do it. Minus 1.5 plus 115 on the Houston Astros. I think it's just everything that we talked about with the Giants coming out of Mexico City, and I think it's just gonna be a good spot here for the Houston Astros. I know they're playing on Sunday Night Baseball, but it's really not it's not a travel spot for the Astros. And Luis
Yeah.
Garcia has been really good in back-to-back starts, so I think that he'll be able to carry that momentum into Monday night against the Giants. And the thing that you might have some tired players for the Giants. This might just be a series where I might just be fading the Giants all week against the Astros, or at least early on until they get back home. So I'll take the minus 1.5 plus 115 for the Astros. I know both you and I discussed at least putting something on the Reds tomorrow, but I think,
Yeah.
just for the situation that they're in, I wouldn't put a lot on it, maybe like a pizza bet or some beer money on it,
Yeah.
but I think it's a good spot for the Reds as well.
I like that pizza bet.
Yeah.
Love pizza.
All right, Dylan, that's going to do it, my man. Short schedule on Monday for MLB. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, I did want to mention we got 1,000 followers, correct?
We
Was
did.
harping at it.
We did get 1,000 followers on Twitters.
Yeah, so thank you all to who followed, and make sure to keep it up. We got a lot more coming this content coming this way. We got a few more months. We got All-Star break coming up, so more content, more British accent from Mal.
Yeah, Mal should be back tomorrow for the Tuesday games. And then, like Dylan mentioned, the first week of baseball, or sorry, first month of baseball is in the books. Long way to go, big, long season as well. We'll slowly get to the All-Star break, and then, I mean, it's still far fetched for the playoffs, but we're gonna grind it out here. Appreciate everybody that's followed us on Twitter for the MLB Gambling Podcast account. Also, do yourselves a favor, make sure to follow us on YouTube here if you haven't subscribed already. And if you haven't already, leave us a rating and review. Spotify, Apple, wherever you do listen to your podcast, it really helps us grow the show. Make sure to follow Dylan on Twitter at Rock with 2Ks24. Follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. We'll be back on Monday for the Tuesday games as usual. Look out for us then. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.